Failure. It's a word we all dread. We shy away from it, hide from it, and sometimes even resent it. But what if I told you that failure isn't your enemy, it's actually your greatest ally on the path to success? In today's world of constant hustle and grind, we're often taught to avoid failure at all costs. But what if I told you that those who truly succeed embrace failure, learn from it, and use it as fuel for their next big breakthrough? In this talk, I'm going to show you why failure isn't something to fear, it's something to celebrate. I'll walk you through 9 powerful lessons that successful entrepreneurs and innovators know, but too many ignore. The truth is, it's the so-called losers who refuse to face failure head-on that never make it. Ready to change your mindset and transform your journey? Let's dive in. Let's start with a simple question. How many of you have ever failed? Guessing nearly every hand would go up, and rightly so. Failure is something we all experience. But let me ask you another question. How many of you have been afraid to fail? The fear of failure is universal. It's something we're taught from a young age, whether in school, sports, or even in our personal lives, that failure is to be avoided at all costs. The word failure itself feels like an insult, doesn't it? It's a label we're quick to reject. But I'm here to challenge that mindset. Because here's the truth that no one tells you: failure isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of something bigger. It's the fertile ground where growth happens. And the most successful people in the world will tell you that the secret to their success is that they didn't run from failure, they ran toward it. So let's break this down. When you look at successful entrepreneurs, innovators, or even athletes, what do they all have in common? They didn't get there by avoiding failure. They didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there because they understood something essential: failure is a stepping stone. It's a test, a trial by fire. And those who come out on the other side are ones who never failed. They're the ones who learned how to get back up after they did. The most successful people understand the concept of resilience. They know that falling down is a part of the process. But the true difference between those who succeed and those who don't is what happens after the fall. It's the courage to get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. This is a lesson only the truly successful know, because they've been through the trenches. They've had their fair share of failures, more than they'll ever admit. And each one was a lesson. But here's the hard truth. Most people are too afraid to face that failure. They believe that falling short is a reflection of who they are, a sign that they aren't good enough, capable enough, or worthy of success. They start to believe the narrative that failure is an identity. But let me tell you, this: failure is not your identity. It's simply an event. It's something that happens to you, not who you are. And those who can separate themselves from their failures, who can see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, are the ones who thrive in the long run. And yet, many people choose to play it safe. They stay in their comfort zones. They avoid taking risks because they fear failure. They settle for mediocrity because it feels safe. But let's be clear, comfort is the killer of progress. The only way to make real strides toward greatness is to leave your comfort zone behind and step into the unknown, into the realm where failure is inevitable, but so is success, if you're willing to fight for it. I've seen countless entrepreneurs, brilliant minds, and visionary leaders make the mistake of letting their fear of failure paralyze them. Instead of risking the chance of falling short, they settle for nothing at all. But here's what you need to understand. Those who succeed are the ones who are willing to take those risks. They're the ones who fail forward, who pick themselves up again and again, each time learning something new. You might be asking yourself, okay, that sounds good in theory, but how do I actually embrace failure? The answer is simple, but it's not easy. The first step is to change the way you perceive failure. Instead of seeing it as a setback, view it as a lesson. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Because every failure has something valuable to teach you. If you're willing to be honest with yourself and look closely at your mistakes, you'll uncover insights that can shape your future success. Think about some of the greatest inventions and breakthroughs in history: the light bulb, the airplane, even the post-it note. All of them were the result of countless failures. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he found the right filament for the light bulb. The Wright brothers went through trial after trial, each failure getting them one step closer to flight. And yet, despite these setbacks, they didn't give up. They didn't let failure define them. Instead, they embraced it, learned from it, and kept moving forward. And that's why they succeeded. But let me make one thing clear: it isn't just about the big, obvious setbacks. Failure can be small, seemingly insignificant moments where you feel like you're not measuring up, when things don't go as planned. It could be a pitch that didn't land, a business idea that didn't take off, or a personal goal you didn't quite reach. We often dismiss these smaller failures because they don't feel like real failures. But these moments matter. They matter because they teach us resilience. They teach us the importance of perseverance, of staying committed to the journey even when the road isn't easy. But what happens when we avoid failure altogether? What happens when we play it safe, when we stick to what we know and refuse to take risks? The answer is simple. We stay stuck. We remain where we are, in the same place, with the same habits, the same thinking, the same limitations. We don't grow. We don't evolve. And ultimately, we don't achieve what we're truly capable of. And this brings me to another important point. The fear of failure is often a fear of judgment. It's a fear of what others will think. We worry that if we fail, people will see us as inadequate, as less than. But guess what? Most people are so wrapped up in their own lives that they don't care nearly as much about your failures as you think. And even if they do, so what? The opinions of others should never dictate your journey. One of the most liberating things you can do is to stop worrying about what others think. Stop trying to meet their expectations and start focusing on your own growth. When you shift your mindset from a fear of judgment to a commitment to personal growth, failure becomes a non-issue. You stop viewing it as something that defines you and start seeing it as a necessary part of the process. Now, I know that for many of us, the idea of embracing failure doesn't come naturally. It takes practice. It takes changing the way we think about ourselves and our potential. But I want you to think for a moment about the person you admire most in the world. Maybe they're an entrepreneur, an athlete, an artist, or even a friend. Whoever they are, think about how they got to where they are. They didn't get there by avoiding failure. They didn't get there by playing it safe. They got there by being relentless. They got there by failing over and over again, each time learning, growing, and getting stronger. And most importantly, they kept going. They didn't quit. They didn't give up. And that's what I want for you. I want you to have the courage to fail. I want you to see failure for what it truly is, a necessary part of your journey. A sign that you're trying. A signal that you're pushing yourself to be better. And when you can embrace failure in that way, when you can look at it as a teacher, a guide, a stepping stone, you'll unlock a level of power and resilience that will drive you towards success. So the next time you face a challenge, the next time you encounter failure, don't run from it. Don't shy away from it. Step forward. Embrace it. Learn from it. And keep going. Because the people who succeed are the ones who know that failure is just a part of the story. It's not the end. It's the beginning. And when you look back, you'll realize that those moments of failure were the most important moments of all. They shaped you. They made you stronger. And they ultimately propelled you toward the success you were always meant to achieve. So I challenge you today not to fear failure, but to seek it out. Embrace it. Learn from it. And let it fuel you as you go into the life you deserve. Don't let failure hold you back. Let it push you forward. And remember this, it's not the failures that define you, it's how you rise from them. Keep going. You've got this. Before you leave today, I want you to take one last thing with you. Don't just stop here. If you're committed to transforming your mindset, growing your potential, and embracing every opportunity that comes your way, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. Subscribing, you'll gain access to more powerful lessons, practical tips, and inspiring content that can help you take your journey to the next level. Remember, you're not alone on this path. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep embracing failure. Together we'll rise, learn, and achieve. So go ahead, take that next step, and let's make success your reality.